What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. And where do all fights start? Round one. We have an amazing show for you here today. Naoya Inoue. Who do you want to see him fight? Junto Nakatani or MJ Akmadalia? And who can beat him right now on the winning streak that he's on? So we're going to talk about a lot of boxers here today. We're going to talk about Tank Davis, Devin Haney, a lot of big fights coming up. So join us here at Round One Sports Talk. And where do all fights start? Round one. Like, subscribe to the videos, and let's get right into this video. Well, how you guys doing out there this Christmas? Let me set up everything here. I have a couple of things I need to set up. All right. Looks good. All right. So let's get in right into this. Hey, wait a minute. Let me just make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear and that it's actually not jumping because I see it kind of like skipping. All right. All right. Good. Well, we have a lot to talk about, and I want to get into the Naoya Inoue, what I see about his upcoming fight and what a lot of fight fans are talking about, and who would you like to see him in fight, and who can beat him. We're gonna get all into that, right? There were a couple of top stories right now circling about Caleb Plant and Fat Joe seem to have went back and forth. A lot of people shared their insight on that, and they were saying that Fat Joe was you know oh over talking, trying to make himself look more gangster and stuff, and that he's in his 50s and he's a millionaire and he's not gonna throw everything away. And I'm sitting back and I'm listening to all of that, and I'm saying to myself, that has nothing to do with who Fat Joe is. And if you look at things like that, uh, you would be really wrong. He might be in his 50s, he might be a millionaire rapper, right? But Fat Joe has history. The Terror Squad was a real thing in the 90s or whatever. They were doing their thing. Now, he might not be the type of person that's deep into like whatever, right? He's a rapper. But I'm kind of on the line that he does wine and dine in the city of New York with some of the top rich thugs in New York City. And some of them happen to be Puerto Rican. If you don't think that there's Puerto Rican gangsters that has millions of dollars in the streets of New York, you're sadly mistaken. And although Fat Joe might not be like that, he's beloved by a lot of people. And a lot of his friends or affiliates will do things. So in actuality, Fat Joe don't gotta do shit. You know, and like don't view him like one of these rappers that Fat Joe's just not a stupid dude. But we've all heard the stories about him. He's definitely not the type of dude you're just gonna walk over. He didn't make it this far in the industry without getting extorted and all these other things because he's just a fat jolly man. Fat Joe put in work. So although, I think Joe is kind of talking it up a little bit too, right? He gonna put out what he is. I really don't think like people should think like you just gonna put hands on the man. It doesn't have to resort in Caleb Plant going 6 feet under, but I'm pretty sure the Fat Joe got a couple crazy Puerto Ricans that'll walk up on him and at a fight while he's watching it and sucker punch the man. I think he's worth that much. So, you know, I don't think Joe's all flashing cameras and Hollywood. I don't think he's all that. There's a part of him that he is, right? But I'm not saying he's some killer type dude, but I think them crazy ass Puerto Ricans in New York will rock out for my man. So at least they'll bang on him. So, you know, but hey, it was kind of like comical to see, Fat Joe and Caleb Plant go at it behind, Joe's fighter, Edgar Berlanga. And what he was trying to do was just get Joe's attention to actually, send a message to Berlanga. That's basically what that was about. I want you to deliver a message for me to Berlanga to let him know that if Berlanga's man enough to step in the ring with me, I'll be man enough to knock him out. That's what Caleb Plant is saying, because Caleb Plant ain't nobody's pushover. I'm going to tell you right now, Caleb Plant is a fighter through and through. So Joe wasn't going to intimidate him. None of his goons were. And Joe got to recognize, yo, okay, this is street shit. Yeah, I get it. But you guys were in a New York, you know, uh venue. It wasn't like you guys was in the middle of the hood. So basically what was going to go down there was your fist against his fist. And if that's what was going to happen, I got my money on Caleb Plant. I think he would have beat the shit out of your goons. And I think you were alone, Joe. You were with your girl, your kids. So you would have had to handle your own business in that moment. I don't care what happens tomorrow. All them flashing cameras, everybody video right there, Joe. Joe got into some trouble one time with Roy Jones. And Joe know it. He was scared. Joe was like, damn. Roy going, Joe said he grabbed Roy's hands. He said, yo, Roy, chill. Them hands is deadly. Because Joe don't want to end up, you know what I mean? But Joe's a New York dude. He gonna talk his shit. But in this world, everybody ain't gonna like what you got to say. And some dudes is gonna pull up and be like, what'd you say? Like, there's always that dude. So I found that street shit spilling over into boxing stuff. I'm like, okay. But now Berlanga's going to have to answer to this. What do you guys think? Like, I think Berlanga's going to have to, like, at least respond to, like, what's going on. So I found that humorous a little bit. And of course, the biggest stories with Devin Haney. We talked about it. If you want to hear what I had to say, check out my last video. And Devin Haney's gonna have to prove himself in the ring. That's where I want to see it. I'll leave it like that. As far as Tank Davis, I love Tank Davis and everything. I even went on to the Angry White Man's YouTube channel last night because it was late night and I didn't go on. And we was up at like 1:00, 2 in the morning, some shit like that, right? So I talked to them. We was talking and stuff, and we was talking about Tank, and I was telling them, man, I realized that Tank is not a championship fighter, that he's not really going after these belts. He's a prize fighter. He's going after the money. And he's been telling me for years, I just haven't been listening to Tank. When I criticize him, why didn't he go for these belts? He's been telling me. Even when he had the opportunity to fight George Camboza, right? What did he tell George Camboza? Tank. He said, vacate the 3 belts and I'll fight you. He told him, I don't need to fight you for the belts. I'll fight you. Just vacate the belts. I don't think Tank ever wanted to pay sanction fees to these belts. He was mad. He was already paying for one. So, in that sense, I was like, I started seeing Tank for who he is. He's a prize fighter. So I can't get mad at him for not taking the opportunities because that wasn't his vision. I got to understand who he is. So in that sense, I was like, okay. And now I accept him a lot more because my expectations for him in his career are just that whenever he comes out and decides to fight, I'm gonna watch him. You know, I want him to fight better fighters. It looks like he's ducking or avoiding fighters, but he's not. He's not. He's making business decisions. You would say that it would make more money, more revenue if he fought the bigger names, but in fact, it would also take away from him. He would have to split pay-per-view sales. He would have to actually pay him a lot of money, them other guys. He's paid some fighters a little bit, but not like Loma would want, not like, Devin would want, not like Shakur is gonna want. He's not. He hasn't paid a fighter like that. Tank Davis was even on record, saying that Ryan Garcia said yes to everything, that he was an idiot, and Ryan Garcia himself admitted, "Yeah, I said yes to everything. Yeah, I took less money. Yes, I did." So, Tank didn't even pay Ryan that great. They both admitted it. Tank doesn't pay none of these fighters like that. He pays some guys. Frank the Ghost Martin made like, what was it? I think the purse of the fight was like 3 million. He made like on the back end, I think Tank Davis gave him a percentage or so. He ended up walking away with like maybe rumors like 6, 8 million, some shit like that. But I know he didn't sign for that much money. But that's actually peanuts compared to what Tank Davis is walking away with. And people are looking at that like, oh, Frank Martin got paid. No, those are the peanuts I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. When your opponent's walking away with 30 plus $1 million, that's peanuts. Fair? You walk away with 30, I walk away with 30. That's 50-50. How the fuck am I walking away with 6 to 8 and you're walking away with 30? But somehow people are saying, no, Frank pays his fighters. Look at Frank the Ghost Martin. Look how much money he made. Bullshit. So he's not, you guys got to realize what Tank is. He's the type of fighter that takes all the money. He really does. There's not a fighter that he fought that they walked away even in a Tank fight. That's 50-50. Where that you made exactly what I made. Every Tank fight, you better read that fine print. And when people compare Tank Davis to like situations like when he didn't fight Devin Haney at a time for his belt or whatever, right? Or for the WBC when he had it at that time, neither, right? And Tank was rocking that secondary belt, the WBA, right? Okay. There was a point in time he could have fought him. There was a point in time Tank could have fought a lot of these fighters. He just opted not to do it for whatever reason, right? And in those moments, that's where I criticized Tank. That's where I said, you know, and people criticized him, but Tank was telling Devin Haney, I don't care about your belts. Devin Haney was like, I don't care about your opinion. And Devin Haney, in actuality, was right. But Tank was a different kind of fighter. See, when you're looking at this situation, if both fighters were equal, as in like sales or top stars, you would say that Devin Haney with 4 belts was the A side. But you see, Tank Davis had no belts. And he, in reality, he was the A side. Why? He was a different kind of fighter. He was a pay-per-view fighter. And a pay-per-view fighter, according to dollars and cents, they're worth more than them 4 belts around your waist. And Devin Haney wasn't willing to budge. He wasn't willing to be I guess, the A side to what he felt like, wait a minute, I got all 4 belts, bro. And Tank was like, nah, you're going to have to take this and give me a shot at the 4 belts. And that was just ridiculous as a champion for Devin. And I'm not sure if how it played out, but I believe that's why he walked away because egos are going to collide here. They're going to collide, and Tank's not going to budge, and Devin feels disrespected. But Tank has had something Devin never had at the time, pay per view money. When you think about that, there are only 6, 7 pay per view fighters in the world. Out of all the fighters in the world, there are only that many pay per view fighters in the world. Tank was in a category not many men and women achieve. So that's where that conflict really came into, like, and I was just like, I understand Tank. I understand him. He's been telling me for years. I just never listened. I kept putting all my expectations of what I viewed him as a fighter because he's a special fighter. And I was like, yo, Tank, you need to go after these belts. Tank's does avoiding him. He didn't take this fight. Meanwhile, Tank's like, I'm taking the best fight that brings me the most money. And how much can I keep? And I didn't realize he was a prize fighter. I wanted him to be a legacy fighter. I wanted him to chase divisions. And he's been telling me, and I just wasn't listening. I just wasn't listening to him. Now, as he gets older, now he's in a different position in his life. A lot of us have a tendency of viewing him at different phases in his career and judging him now for particular phases he was in once upon a time. And it looks like Tank Davis is getting older. He's maturing. He would like to go for some of these belts, but Tank has made a persona of himself and the way he does business that is hard to back up now. It's really hard for him to back up. For him to take a pay cut, it's got to be worth it. You're going to have something he wants. Um, I'm not sure anymore what he wants. It's like me right now on Christmas. My wife turns around and asks me, "Are you happy? Did you get everything you wanted?" And I looked at her and I told her, "Before you gave me any of these gifts, I already had everything I ever wanted in life. I got your love, the respect of my kids, and our home and family, and my family is safe. That's all I ever wanted. As far as material things, I'm as confused as any other human. When I don't have the opportunity to get anything, I want everything. The minute I'm in a situation where I have the opportunity to get anything, I don't know what I want." That's how it is with me, man. So I look at her and I'm just like, I'm I'm happy, and she's just like, "You don't seem like you are." I'm just like, "That's how some men express their feelings. I'm sorry. I Do you want me to get up and jump around? Would that satisfy you?" She said, "Yes." So I had to get up and jump around. So anyway, so you know, I just know that Tank's an exciting fighter. I know that fighters, you can change your mind at any given time. At any point, Tank can stop this money bag crusade and and you know, go after these belts. At any point, he can retire. I'm not sure what he goes through in his personal life. I don't know, but I'm anxious to see him back in the ring. I think the Lamont Roach fight is still, in fact, on. Ticket sales are still going on. I think that fight is a go. I'm not sure where all this stuff came, because of Tank. I don't know where he said what was canceled or what's going on. I'm not sure where this came from him, and then it came out to social media. But Tank was the one that tweeted it. So that's what got a lot of people in a buzz. So yeah. And those are some of the top stories going around. And now I want to get into this Naoya Inoue situation and how most of us, anyway, that view Naoya Inoue, we see most of us view him. Let me get this correct, right? Most of us view him as a dominant fighter, right? And a lot of other people say that there's just no one in the division or something. They try to sweep up his achievements under the carpet, right? But most of us know the dominant fighter he is. He's so dominant, in fact, that he has me sitting here talking with you guys and coming up with a potential opponent that would have the possibility to dethrone him. And who could that be? Who would you like to see him fight? And what fight would against Naoya Inoue would you would say, yeah, that's the guy right there. I feel real good about this fight right here. This guy, it's a 50-50 fight. Well, how would you view it? 60-40? Would you give him a little more or a little less? And what's the opponent's name? Who do you have that's going to potentially dethrone the monster, Naoya Inoue? So let's talk about it. He has a fight coming up right now that was rescheduled with Sam Goodman. Naoya Inoue's 28 fights, 25 ways by knockout, Japanese fighter, and he's currently the undisputed, unified 122-pound champion of the world. He has all four belts, and he's doing things currently right now. Typically, you don't see many champions that ever unified or became undisputed give another man an opportunity to fight them for their belts. This will be the third time, in fact, in a row that he puts up all four belts. That's amazing. I want to see how far he can go with that record too, as well. With all of us knowing that this is going to be his 24th consecutive world title fight in a row. He has his last 23 previous fights were all for world championship fights. And then his last three fights were for four belts. His last three fights. And as we can all see, pleasing all the sanctioning bodies in the sport of boxing has become quite difficult for many champions, such as Usyk, such as Canelo, where they were stripped by organizations for not obeying to fight their mandatory, which we all know that although it looks good around your waist, it is a pain in the ass to please all four sanctioning bodies, right? Naoya Inoue seems to be doing the tightrope dance and a balancing act, and he's doing it flawlessly, answering all mandatories for all sanctioning bodies. And now he's coming up against one of the top number one guys in Sam Goodman. He's ranked by the IBF number one, ranked by the WBO number one, and he is a worthy opponent. When we think about an opponent for Naoya Inoue, a lot of fans don't even like this fight, which in fact, I've pointed this out on several occasions. Sam Goodman is the most qualified 122 pounder we have. There is no 122 pounder that exists right now that is more qualified than Sam Goodman. Here are the qualifications for that. First of all, you would have to be a number one rank. And if you happen to be a number one ranked opponent, what would separate you from another number ranked? He's ranked by two sanctioning bodies. Okay, impressive enough, but that still doesn't award you the fight. No, it doesn't. What awards you the fight is your place in line as the organization. Whose organization had the next shot at those titles? And whose mandatory did he truly have to honor? That counts. That's what counts. So, not only is Sam Goodman ranked by 2, he's also undefeated. Name me another fighter that is undefeated, ranked number 1. So if your number 1 guy has been defeated before, his value is less. He's been dethroned. This guy has not. Now, let's look at the other things. Your number 1 guy could have been a former unified world champion. Ching ching, that's a plus. You can't ignore that. And your guy has never fought for a world championship. Right? So you got to add that. He's got championship credentials, but your guy doesn't. You can't ignore that. So that's 1 plus for this guy. Okay? Ching ching. All right? So, Sam Goodman has been ranked by the 2 organizations, right? So he has the backing of 2 of them, not just 1. And he has the status of next man in line. And he has the organization pushing his mandatory. And he beat the other guy out on the bid to fight him next. So, ching ching, the boxing committee, boxing athletic committee, deemed him next. Ching ching. So there's no other 122-pounder more qualified to fight Naoya Inoue, right? But does that make him the most skilled fighter out of the division? Styles make fights, right? Okay. So by opinions, you could break down something. By what's going on in the ranking, you have to look at what's fact. Sam Goodman is the best number 122-pounder in the world. He's the more deserving. He's the next man up in line. That's who he's supposed to be fighting. Technically, Naoya Inoue. So when we get the fight, most fans are looking at it like, we don't want to see it. What would make you say that? The only thing that would make me say that is that other guy is so damn good. That would have to be acknowledging how good and how dominant of a champion Naoya Inoue actually is. That's what that would be acknowledging. But you know how some people take it? Oh, he's cherry picking. He's cherry picking the number 1 guy, 2 rank undefeated. That's a cherry pick? Really? Or are you just saying anything? Why? That's how good this dude is, that you really don't think no one's going to beat him. And that's what this conversation is about. If Sam Goodman goes down, in which, in fact, I believe Naoya Inoue is going to beat him. Okay? I'm not taking anything away from Sam Goodman because this is a boxing match and anything can happen. I give him that much. Right? He's got 10% from me. And if you got 10%, baby, that's 10% of victory. Okay? No matter how you slice it. So, but I really think he's going to be victorious. And in this conversation right here, my question to you guys is, who do you think is going to beat him? Who's he running from? Where is the best fighter? And who do you think can do the job? Do you got a fighter that you think can possibly give him a good fight? We can talk about it. Do you really think there's a guy in the ballpark that can beat him at 122? Now, if we were talking 126, that's a whole different ballpark right there. That's a whole different topic. I'm not talking about 126. I'm talking about where he's king at. We got to talk about the men that are there, that are in that division. You really think MJ is the guy? Do you really, John Casamera? Who do you guys think? The only other possibility would be Junto Nakatani entering the division. Although I wanted to see Junto fight Naoya's kid brother, he beats his brother. His older brother going to be like, yo, let me tell you something. You beat my little revenge, right? It would have built a good storyline. I gotta admit, it would have. But Takuna, he didn't. He lost his belt, so that fight never materialized. But I'm already getting a lot of word from some interesting men in boxing that have been around for a long time. They're saying that fight's gonna happen. They're really saying that the Junto Nakatani versus Naoya Inoue fight is in a lot of talks, and it's with the only thing that I'm not sure if the guy said that. Maybe I have a tendency of talking fast, and I'll say the wrong city or something. But he said New York. The guy I was talking to, he said that fight was going to be made for New York. And he was talking fast, and I didn't want to, break and stop his flow. And I didn't want to like to correct him and shit. That wasn't just, I was just, all right, yeah. Because I thought that Bob Arum said Las Vegas, the American fight. So I was kind of thinking, is that the fight he's talking about? But I was just letting him go. And he was telling me that the Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani fight is they're really talking about this. Like it's being pushed around, and guys are actually like um it's seeming like more real and real every day. And you guys know I won't talk about a fight because I don't like breaking down these fights, and and I've always explained that to you guys. But I always told you guys, if I really thought that something was going to occur, I would let you guys know. And Bob Arum's not letting it go. He's not letting it go. When Junto's team and they were talking to Rich one time, right? Okay, wait. Let me back up a little bit. A lot of this stemmed from that interview that Junto had out there in what was it? He trains in Texas, right? Was it Texas? He was out there with these Mexican in this gym. He was coming out of the gym, and some dude had interview. I'm not sure, man. My memory's a little vague here, but this is where it all I think stems from, where Junto welcomed a fight with Naoya Inoue, and he told the world, "I would love a fight like that." He said, "That's a fight I'm looking forward to. That's a fight I train out here because it's not a secret that Junto Nakatani trains out here in the West, and he has been for quite some years. He's really developed his skill, his style, and he's really transcended his Japanese fighting style, and he brought that shit up to a different level. Junto is a good fighter. He even got awards for knockout of the year against Andrew Maloney. That was a brutal knockout. He has good power, a great jab, long jab. He can fight on the inside. He can fight off the back foot. A lot of Japanese fighters, for me, I think their biggest weakness is when they're being pressured. They don't really come out of the high guard well, for me. And they're what they did was brilliant, right? Rather than closing up on the guard, when the opponent starts to punch, rather than pushing back, they push offense while you're coming forward trying to wind up. They usually catch the fighter in the wind up, right? And their technique is real straight to the point at that point. Japanese fighters are good, and they're learning the concept of not allowing the guy to push them back. But what a lot of them struggle at is when they do get pushed back, um, they're not good with evading and circling and spinning the guys. They're not good at that. They typically go into the high guard, they'll duck, bob, and weave, but they're gonna pop or hit into a shot eventually. A lot of hook overhand shots have been their Achilles heel for a lot of Japanese fighters. And then they try to fight power with power sometimes. They believe that they have better technique, better form, and with that, they're gonna land the more effective fighter. A lot of American guys are spontaneous, right? What makes it slick is that Americans sometimes flow. We flow. And by flowing, you can you could do things that are unexpected. And rather than doing boxing the way it's traditionally just played, the American fighter is slick. He's deceptive and he can be tricky. And when it's performed at the highest level, he's in a zone. And boy, is it. And then the toughest thing about American fighters, right? That Japan fighters typically they're gonna fight, and our guy, we fight from the high guard. It's mostly dangerous when you got a guy that's flowing, he's in the zone, and he's throwing his punches from his hips. His hands are down, and he's just snapping at you, right? It's difficult to figure out which hand's coming or what he's setting up for. When he's in the high guard, you could see the hand snap, snap, snap. I'm a throw. I'm in front of you. But when he starts showboating on you and he got his hands down and he's locked in, yo, he's lunging, he's stepping back, he's evading, he's sidestepping, he's all over you. You're just like, oh, you know, and that style can be frightening. The American slick style, when it is performed at its highest level, it's really dominant. It's really, really dominant. A lot of styles. We talked about this. There were some fights I was watching because I was checking out the year unfold and stuff. And some of the Mexican fighters that won, they were losing the entire fight. And that pressure, that smothering pressure, wore that dude down. And I was talking about it could when the Mexican slick style itself is performed at the right way, that that it could feel like it could be frightening. This freaking guy, I beat the crap out of him for 8 rounds, outstyled him, everything. And it just seemed like in the ninth round he started fighting. And that could be you're tired, you threw mad punches, and this guy is just like a machine. He's just relentless. That could be frightening. You could see the fight starting to slip away from you, and that doubt can start to sink into your head, and you're trying to fight that out of your mind. And with each round, he's pounding your arms. Your arms are bruised, your shoulders are bruised, your guard is dropping lower, lower, and it seems like his punches are getting heavier and heavier. Man, that style could be frightening. Yeah, baby. And there's just so many. I remember like Hector Camacho. Yo, Hector Camacho used to perform the Puerto Rican style, their kind of style of boxing. He was one of the slickest Puerto Rican fighters, I got to admit. When you watch Camacho when he was a young man, before the women, the nightclubs, Camacho went and trained. And his wife did that tell all. She said Hector Camacho went basically his entire career only training 1 month leading into the fight. Like he would fuck off, and that's how talented he was. He was riding on God-given talent. I always want, man, if Macho Man ever took it serious. But we did get a glimpse of when he was hungry and when he was like the real version of Macho Man. If you ever have the chance, go watch his first 10 fights. Yo, my man was like, I really respected why he was who he was, and I was just like, he wasn't all show. like putting an audience, putting on these things and coming out. No, he was a real skilled fighter, really skilled, highly skilled. Camacho, bro, for me, he just didn't sustain it for a long period of time because of all the antics and distractions outside of the ring. Wilfredo Gomez, a lot of those fighters, Miguel Cotto, they had good Puerto Rican styles to them. Miguel Cotto was a hard puncher. He was what we considered a hard puncher. Um, he wasn't the most accurate puncher in the game for Puerto Rican fighters, the most accurate. But he was amazing. He hit hard, man, real hard. And even the legend can attest to that. So all these styles we talk about. Um, I watched Manny Pacquiao's Filipino style dominate for years. And that Filipino style was pretty, Manny Pacquiao, he performed at his highest. There's not a lot of Filipino guys that has all Manny Pacquiao's God-given talents too as well. To pull off some of these styles, you got to be equal with these men and what they had for skill, in order to pull it. How many times y'all seen how many people try to imitate Floyd Mayweather with the Philly shell, the Mayweather shell? They try to replicate it, but it never duplicated. You would have to have all his God-given talents, his cat-like reflex, his gas tank, his boxing IQ, why he moves the way he moves, his everything, his agility, his speed, his power. You would have to have everything to pull that off. Some guys only got 2 or 3 of those things, and they look like them, and they try to use that and get toe up. They can't pull it off quite like him. You got to understand there was just too. He had a lot more elements. These guys try to do. Oh, you look like Mayweather. You must be him. Yeah, okay. Yo, what happened? Get up. You gonna get rocked, son. What's up, people? How you guys doing? Thank you for tuning in here at Round One Sports Talk, where the wall fights start. You know it, Round One. What's up, Carlos? How you doing? U.S. Boxing. What's up? How you doing, brother? Mexico Boxing in the building. Boxing Fats. What's up, bro? How you guys doing? How you gentlemen doing? Nah, they don't all get dropped, right? And then they got a lot of stamina, right? Because Julio Cesar Chavez was a frightening human being of a man, okay? He had like 99 wins before he was dethroned. He was like, he should have stopped fighting like 80 wins ago. Like, you know what I mean? That was one frightening chin. He just, all those fights, all those sparring sessions, and it's a well-known fact, Julio Cesar Chavez does not hit mitts, and he does not hit a speed bag or a punching bag. He does not. He might jog. He doesn't jump rope. He doesn't do any of that. The only thing Julio Cesar Chavez does is jog and spar. He basically spars 5 days a week. That's all Julio Cesar Chavez ever did. You don't. There's no film of him hitting pads, hitting a bag. No, once he did all that to get in shape to become the fighter he was, from that point on, he never hit a bag again. So he has hundreds upon hundreds of sparring matches. Hundreds of them. He had like 99 fights before he lost. That chin, it was going to crack eventually, but he was cracked by the best. Yo, bing! Let's go. That's frightening. There were a lot of Mexican dudes that they could take big shots, bro, but there's no Superman. Eventually, if the guy touches that button, you're going to go down. But I'm going to tell you right now, if they all go down, then tell me why haven't Saul Canelo Alvarez gone down yet? Not even for a standing 8 count. I'll wait. He hasn't been down yet. Has all 4 belts. You can say what you want. He ain't fought one guy that we all pissed about. David the Monster Benavidez, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 guys that we're pissed about. But right, he's much older now. You know, he actually did what he had to do. But when we're talking about Mexicans are good, but they all go down, Saul's never been down though. That's their top Mexican. And if we're talking about what I'm talking about, when it's performed at its highest level, he's doing at the highest level. I would be talking about those guys. And he's never been down. So yeah, but it's every style. Every style has that guy. So it's not like they're the best in the world, or I'm even tooting my own horn and saying the Americans are. No. I'm smart enough to know that every styles make fights. Styles make fights. And when I talk about fighting, I'm only talking about the best fighters in the world. What I like about these men and women is that they're the best. And I get it. I hold them at a human standard. At a human standard. Not at a Superman or fantasy standard in my head. Every one of these guys could be defeated. There's a style for everybody. Trust me, there is. Okay? I love the way these guys fight. Ukraine right now is on top of the world. Ukraine has the heavyweight championship of the world. Usyk has the belt. They're leading the way. Right? They got the king on top. They might not have, well, they got Loma and they got the WBO champion. And I think they got another champion, so Ukraine doing pretty good. Japan might be doing a little better. United States is in the hunt. We're beating out Mexico right now, which is good because Mexico had a little ride with a lot of belts. So in a competition standpoint and rivalries, oh, I love my rivalry fights, baby. Let's get it popping. What, you guys don't like Mexico-Puerto Rico fights? What, you don't like that? Ooh, I like that. But you don't like America versus Mexico? Ooh, I like that. But you don't like Japan versus Filipino fighters? Ooh, I like them fights. You know what I'm saying? What, you guys don't like Ukraine versus Britain, the British? And British be coming out fighting. And Ukraine is shutting them down. There's a little rivalry right there going on. Yes, there is. Pay attention. A lot of these countries and a lot of these places are competing for these belts, to bring them back home, to have their parades, to parade their hero. Can't be no greater feeling. Can't be no greater feeling than obtaining a world title, if not all 4 belts, going back to your native country and them serenading you. The people coming out, they're holding you on their shoulders. They view you as their hero. You brought honor to their flag. And they might be a small country. And many people might not have even seen your flag. And what if you were the man or woman that had the opportunity to hoist your flag high? And all the media and sports world had to give you your moment. Why? You earned it. You made yourself that kind of man or woman. What more prouder moment in your life could you experience? I've never experienced anything like that. I could only fantasize what a moment like that could mean to a man. There are flags I've seen in the world I never knew existed. And it's because of sport, because of men and women coming out, daring to be great, to be given the opportunity on a world stage to raise their country flag high and proud. What bigger honor is that? From that moment on, every time you see my mama walking down the street, I guarantee you they're going to open that door for her. The respect I just put on my family name. Now it's time to hold up to it. Now I got to defend it. And either win or lose or loss, they'll love you if they really loved you. But there could be no higher honor, man. So we're competing. Make no mistake. And although every time our champions win a belt, they may not get a parade. But I want you to know, Richard Hitchison, from me to you, right on, brother. Right on. You brought us home a belt. We went against Australia. We beat Australia, and we brought the belt back home. Fucking right, Richard Hitchison. My man. All controversy aside, no matter what American fighter wants to talk shit to him and wants to fight him, okay, controversy aside, fight aside. He got one for us. And although you're not getting a parade, and although your status is not there yet, Richard Hitchison, in America, it's hard to impress Americans. I get it. I get it. Freaking Americans, we basically saw it all. But I don't want you to think that you are ever forgotten and your achievement wasn't acknowledged. Not by real hardcore fans like myself, that I want these belts back here. I need me a heavyweight champion to emerge. The heavyweight champion division, it's no secret, for the last few years it's been hurting. Like, for the last 10 years, all you've seen were the top 5 guys go around in circles and fight each other because there's nobody there. It was a good opportunity for one serious, good heavyweight. He could have cleaned house. Usyk had the skills to do so, and he did. But the heavyweight era that he's in, it's just the same 3 names. Joshua, Tyson Fury, and whatever else name you want to add in there. And if you put Deontay Wilder, that's even bringing the bar lower because of his skill base. It just goes to show what I'm talking about. There are no freaking heavyweight era. It's not like an era when those other guys were coming up, Mike, and you had nothing but killers. Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, fucking, the list goes on, bro. Yo, that was a crazy heavyweight era. All them heavyweights were skilled, bro. Razor Ruddock, all of them, bro. They were all there, man. It was a crazy era. And for the last 10, whatever amount of years, heavyweight boxing so bad that you got the Saudi prince jumping up and telling the Klitschko dude, get off your couch. I'll pay you millions of dollars. We need help in the heavyweight division. We're running out of guys. We're already fighting each other 2 and 3 times. Selling the rematch after the rematch after the rematch. There's nobody there. And then when they make this claim that Usyk's the greatest heavyweight to ever live, real fighting guys, we admire what you're doing. You came up from the cruiserweight, went into the heavyweight. We get it. It was an interesting time. You cleaned house at a good era, my man. Congratulations for your award. Then when he started yelling, I'm the greatest ever, better than Ali, better than everybody, that's when people turned around and said, we're going to call you out on this shit. Just like those other boxers and other people allowed the sport and the media to keep telling them, you're the best ever, until the athlete believes that shit and muscles it out. And then they turn around and go, you're the best to ever do it? Really? Well, why don't we look at your record? Who the fuck is this guy? And you see a bunch of who's. Who? That's his record. A bunch of who's. And in between all the owls, the who's, 4 names. 4 names in between all the owls. Who? It's not like you look at these guys' fucking credentials and shit. The Larry Holmes, fucking Evander Holyfield, fucking Jesus Christ, like the list on their names, Lennox Lewis, like it was just nothing but murder, bunch of murderers. Yo, it was crazy. The heavyweight division has been hurting for a long time. We all know it, but we don't want to take away what Usyk did. We really don't, because us that cover boxing, we want to promote that shit. But just don't go too far with it that you're going to force us to expose them, to break down the story that you're feeding. No, I'm tired of one guy coming up and beating this heavyweight champion. And because he beat the man, that automatically awards him his status. And that's not how it should go. Just because you beat one guy twice, even, right, doesn't award you the greatest heavyweight champion in the world. It's not even close. Where you need to start as at the beginning, just like every heavyweight champion before you started. They started in the beginning in the heavyweight, and then they did a career. Then what did you do there? So when you beat one guy that beat everybody, they automatically take all his accolades and put him on that guy like he just had an entire heavyweight career. If I'm not mistaken, Usyk came up from cruiserweight not too long ago. So he's been in the heavyweight division for how many years? Who has he fought? And we got to admit, these guys are not. For as good as Anthony Joshua was, we always knew he was suspect. That's why he never crossed the pond. We knew that. We just liked he was good for the sport. But deep down inside, we all knew he was suspect. We knew Deontay Wilder would catch him with that right hand, and that's all he had. Many of us had Deontay Wilder in that fight. Okay, so that's telling you AJ was always a suspect. Okay? John, the little Mexican dude, the Destroyer Ruiz proved that. Exposed him. A little 5'10" dude, barely 6 feet tall, exposed him. So we always knew that. So your claim to fame is who? Tyson Fury? And Tyson Fury's claim to fame is who? Deontay Wilder? Tyson Fury's claim to fame is Deontay Wilder. A guy with zero boxing skills and a massive right hand from the gods. That right hand is fucking legendary, though. He's got like Thor's hammer right there, right? But he ain't got no skills. So if we really look at this objectively, Tyson Fury, your claim to fame is Deontay Wilder. Did you see the way that man spun around with Zhang? Anyway, nah. And then you lost to Usyk, right? Which Joshua loses to Usyk. See, when you break it down, it's not going to be as impressive. No, it's really not for Usyk. But for boxing, what he's doing for the sport, nah, bro. He's fucking, in this era, he's the best heavyweight champion we've had. You got to give him the era that he's in. So I'm willing to give him that. It's not my fucking fault there's no heavyweight champions around and his era's weak. So fucking what? If you want to beat him, why don't you make a heavyweight champion to beat him and stop it? If you can't stop it, well, then that's what's going to happen. So as far as this era right here, he's the best heavyweight champion we have. Hands down, no argument out of me. He's just the best. Usyk's the king. That's it. That's it. Whether you want to believe he can beat Ali in his era or this era or that, or Usyk could beat Mike Tyson, or some fantasy. If that's what you need to give yourself validation or comfort, I'm here to tell you, stop. You don't need that. You don't need anything. Usyk doesn't have to prove any fan wrong. Is he not the heavyweight champion of the world? That's the end of the conversation. That's it. Wherever you want to place him, that'll be your opinion. I know that there has been better heavyweight champions before him. They had their era. Damn it, let's let Usyk has his moment, damn it. Let's let him have his era then. It's not his fault. Nobody can beat him. He's fucking good. What does that say? He's the best. That's it. That's it. I'm not here to debate whether he could beat Ali, whether he was the best. No. When his career is all said and done and they tally up what he did, we'll talk about it. Because that's where it counts. He has to retire because less than 2 years ago, Tyson Fury was the greatest heavyweight champion to ever live. Less than 2 years ago. Not so much anymore. That means to show you that sometimes the fighters fight a little too long. Sometimes the champion eventually will get dethroned. Depending how he fares, if Usyk meets that guy and loses to him and loses in the rematch to him, what's that going to say about Usyk then? And depending how Usyk loses, what if the guy that finally defeats him, not only does he beat him, he knocks him out? Then where does his name go as the greatest heavyweight champion to ever live? That's why fighters like Ward got out early. He didn't push the envelope. He kept pushing it as far as he was going to go. And Ward said, you know what? I know I'm young. I'm still in my 30s. I'm out of here. I'm out of boxing. I'm going to get out of boxing. I had all the belts and undefeated. I'm cashing in my chips. Tally up my record and tell me how good I did. Smart man. Smart man. Not a lot of fighters know when to do that. When to pack it up and call it quits. Usyk can go on say, nah, I'm going to fight for Ukraine, my people in the war, and loses 5 next fights in a row. And out of 5 of them, he gets knocked out 3 times. Is he the best heavyweight now? You got to wait until their records are all said and done, sealed. They got to get 5 years retired. After 5 years of sitting on a couch or just not boxing, you can't have anything to do with boxing as a professional, analyst, anything. You could do whatever you want. I'm talking about in the ring. You can't have no scheduled fight, right? As a professional, you have to give 5 years with no fight. Then they consider you into the Hall of Fame. They're going to take your record and the guys are going to look it over. They're going to judge what you did in your career. Whatever's on black and white. They don't go by opinions in the Hall of Fame. Well, he was a good fighter between this era and this era. How did he end his career? Well, he got knocked out 8 times. And that's why I think Roy Jones ain't placed higher. Fighters like him. What's up, Angry White Dude? How you doing in the building, my man? My mellow. How you guys doing out there? Look, let me drop this link right here in the chat. Just in case want to chop it up here. I said what I had to say this morning. Drop that in there. Let me know that dropped in there. Yeah, it did. Good. Sam Goodman better not back out again. If Sam Goodman backs out again, I believe that Top Rank has a plan B. Bob Arum been in the boxing game for a very long time. And he's been in situations like this. So I think that Bob Arum blessed him with the 30-day pushback because, and I believe this to be the case, right? I'm not sure, but I do. Because Naoya Inoue had an injury leading into the Stephen Kubo Fulton fight. And he asked the fans that already booked flights, scheduled hotels, and was already in Japan, some fight fans, for anticipating for that fight, that to give him 30 days and to still support him, and that there would be no more hiccups. And this was on Naoya Inoue's side. Remember that. They postponed that Stephen Kubo Fulton fight for a month. Then they fought. The outcome was the outcome. So when Sam Goodman got hurt, and they brought that point up, I can pretty much guarantee that Naoya Inoue, when you got hurt at once upon a time, you wanted 30 days too. So Naoya Inoue said, okay, with my injury, all they gave me was 30 days. So all the sympathy you're getting out of me is 30 days. You got 30 days to show up at the fight, Sam Goodman, or we will have a replacement for you. Then I was like, well, MJ just fought, right? With the 30-day hiccup, could he be ready, to step in as a late replacement? But and then I thought about it and I said, no, I don't want that. I don't want it. I don't want it. Because I don't want no excuses when it comes to MJ, a fighter like that. I want him to have a complete, healthy training camp. I don't want him to be coming off of a training camp. Nothing like that. I want his full training camp to be solely focused on Naoya Inoue, so that Marlon Tapales has the best opportunity to beat Naoya Inoue. I like the fights, but I also like what's fair is fair and what's right is right. I'm not going to rush Marlon Tapales in just for Naoya Inoue to beat him. I may like Naoya Inoue, but I will not support any sucker shit. You guys better recognize me by now. I am I try to be as fair as possible. And you're not going to cheat Marlon Tapales or any good fighter to rush him along because Naoya Inoue needs a fight. Now, Sam Goodman pulls out. They could, get one of the number 4, 5, 6 guys, whatever, and, there to be great. He could step in. I don't know who they're going to get. Shit, I'll even take Picasso there, the undefeated fighter. He's not ready for Naoya Inoue. Secretly, they think he is, right? He's not, right? But I would take him. I'd be like, yo, if you want to try that, suck his shit, go ahead. But MJ's a fight that a lot of people really wanted to see. He's a name that we want to know. I want Marlon Tapales to have all, to be ready, not to be rushed in any way, because what's fair is fair, So yeah, absolutely, and then on top of that, right? This Junto Nakatani fight will be really big, but like I said, I'm not really sure on the location, whether it was New York or Los Angeles, Vegas. I'm not sure on, right? Or even, but like I said to you guys, there's a lot of talks about this fight happening. A lot of talks that's really making me, and I mean some high dudes are like really pushing it. Just like they were talking crazy and reckless, talking about Bam Bam Rodriguez coming up or some shit like that. And I was like, yo, dude, check it out, right? Like, you shouldn't make Bam jump up 3 weight divisions to try to fight this dude. What's up, Lloyd? How you doing, brother? His name is Arnold Goodman. No, he said Brad Goodman. Lloyd, it was Brad Goodman. He said Brad Goodman. Ed Hearn called him Brad Goodman. His name is Sam. His real name is Sam Goodman. Yeah, remember when Ed Hearn was like, Naoya Inoue is going to be fighting Brad Goodman. I was like, who the fuck is Brad Goodman? Yeah. Ah, look, breaking down the fight stylistically, and I'm not talking shit, guys. Okay? Don't nobody take this as me talking shit because I'm just gonna speak my mind on this. I think Naoya Inoue could actually stop him in one round. Am I saying anything crazy here? Am I saying anything like, am I disrespecting Sam Goodman by saying that? Am I disrespecting any fans? I'm just speaking, my mind here, right? And I'm saying, shit, I think Naoya Inoue can stop that man in one. If Sam Goodman decides to fight him in the first round and not to use his footwork, let's say I don't see it ever happening. That I wouldn't advise this. I don't think this would ever happen. But let's say for one crazy second, Sam Goodman decides to try early in the fight to establish dominance. Let's say that his trainers prepared him and said, you know what? You have to get his attention early. So what we want you to do, we want you to settle down on the front foot and we want you to sit down on your punches and we want you to get his attention early. We want you to try to push him back. Let's say for some crazy reason, Sam Goodman's coaches thought of that, which is, I know it's stupid. This is a hypothetical situation I'm saying, okay? If he did that, Naoya Inoue would knock him out in the first round, just like he did to McDonald, just like he did to Payano in the World Series of Boxing, just like he did to the most of the men that ever tried to step to Naoya Inoue, like try to meet him fire with fire. It doesn't work out too good for them. That's a recipe for a very short night. I remember when Emmanuel Rodriguez in the World Series of Boxing, he tried to step to Naoya Inoue. He tried to push Naoya Inoue back and he stood in the pocket with him. Boy, did he pay bad, bro. Naoya Inoue is a good counter puncher, great boxing technician. He's a good, even better boxer. He's good on the inside. He slip punches. What he did was in that fight, he set him up. He set Rodriguez up. He moved with his waist and stood there. When typically the fighter evades. And when Emmanuel went to throw the punch, Naoya Inoue was beating him to the punch right there. Boom! And he sat him down, bro. That's what I mean. The Japanese are real good when it comes to now they believe, because what was beating them a lot was the American or anything pressure, Mexican pressure, anything. And those overhand shots that were hard by hard hitters, they would evade in a way that they were leaving their feet grounded. They were evading with their waist and not moving their feet. The Japanese fighters figured out that there was another answer to the problem. They didn't focus on going backwards as much. It seems like the samurai way is not to take a step backwards, but to figure out an offense to go forward. See? So what the Japanese fighters are doing better than, I believe, than any other fighter, and I got to admit, they're changing the game in a way. This has always been around, but the fact that so many of them are doing it, like some guys figured this out, they never explained it or passed it on to generations. The American guys in some of their gyms kept their knowledge and it kind of went with them. Now, in a way, we're starting to pass our secrets on to the other fighters. There was some American fighters that understood what the Japanese are doing, their concepts. Yes, they never shared it with anyone. So as their career went on, they were viewed as good fighters, but no one really caught on. The Japanese are doing what they're doing is rather than taking a step backwards, they're snapping punches in situations that typically the guy should be going back. When you hit a guy, boom, and he moved like this, he took a step, he's supposed to go step, back, block, boom, shift backwards, whatever way. These guys are going boom, bang, like that, like Julius Jackson. Julius Jackson understood that concept, right? There was a few fighters that knew it, but that's what they're doing. But they're still garbage when it comes to the fact of pressure going on the ropes. Yeah, man. Yeah. The Japanese fighter, that's their Achilles heel, bro. They don't usually lose when it looks like skill for skill. They usually lose to the guy that's throwing hard pressure punch shots. And then all of a sudden, the Japanese dude doesn't want to take a step back and he catches him in the middle and he stands his ground with the fighter and he loses big in the exchange. He gets hurt, he gets up, loses big in the exchange, gets finished. The Japanese dude doesn't want to go backwards. And by the time he's going backwards, he's extremely hurt. He's already wearing most of the punches. That's their biggest problem. Yeah, but they're real good, man, when it comes to that shit. Yeah. Um, what are you guys saying here? Let me see. I don't see it happening neither, D, right? I don't see that shit happening, right? But if he did, tell me Naoya Inoue wouldn't knock him out in one round. If Sam Goodman did that, tell me he wouldn't knock him out. He would brutalize that man. So I don't ever see it happening. Yes, like I said, it was just a hypothetical situation because I do see Naoya Inoue possibly stopping him early in the fight. I'm not giving Sam Goodman past 6 rounds. I mean, Marlon Tapales made it further, a little further. Stephen Kubo Fulton got knocked out in the eighth, so they went a little further, right? Um, Paul Butler was a great fighter and he had even a better defense and he took a lot of punches. He managed to get to the 11th round, even though Naoya Inoue literally turned that man into a human punching bag, right? He literally backed him into the corner and was busting off combinations you do on a big bag. You know what I'm saying? He was just like bang, 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 bang. And Paul Butler was shelled up. He just couldn't come out of that shell because he was too scared that he was going to go in an exchange and get caught big. You know, um, and then I mean, there's ways to survive. There's ways to manage the fight, but you got to know as a fighter that you're not winning. You have to do something. Jason Maloney was actually boxing Naoya Inoue in the fight, and he took chances. He saw that, okay, this guy's too fast for me. He saw that the guy was a better boxer than him. So Jason Maloney, he paid for his chances though. He did. By that seventh round, those punches were weighing on him. He went into that exchange, and it was one of the best knockouts I witnessed in quite some time when Naoya Inoue knocked out Jason Maloney. That was seeing that live like that, like just sitting there watching it, and it came out of nowhere at the closing seconds of the round. They were like, settling in, and Jason was going to try to get one more combination in there, and then out of nowhere, boom, yo, Naoya Inoue didn't even flinch going backwards when he faked that shot at him. Like I said, that's what they do real well. He didn't go forward backwards. He he cut off that mistake we do by trying to block. That fraction of a second that you use to block the feint that didn't even come and then try to punch, you can get caught in an exchange. Naoya Inoue eliminates that motion altogether. When he feinted, there was no reaction out of him. He just went with it. They're shaving that out of fighting. There's a sequence when a guy's pressuring you against the ropes that you put your high guard. Then you try to peek. When you go to throw a punch, his punch should already be landing. He's gonna try to hit you from the minute you go like this. His punch should already be coming. That's where he's trying to get you. Naoya Inoue, when you're trying to back him up, rather than him going up into the high guard like this, right? Your punch hits, pop. He's right here. He doesn't do this movement right here. He avoids from doing that movement and just goes straight into the punch. He cut that out. He does it really fucking good, bro. He's really good at it. So yeah, man, those are different styles. Of course, Naoya Inoue was born with the ability to understand fighting. I believe fighting the way fighting he sees it in his head, it lays down much easier to him. Where, some men, you don't have to teach them how to play the piano. There have been stories of men and women learning how to play the piano in their house without learning a single note, just off sound and touch. They're not deaf or blind. They just talented. Never took a lesson of piano. I know artists that never took an art lesson in their life. Massive artists. Hey, who taught you how to draw like this? Me. Where? In your room? In my room? You never went to art class? No. You don't got to teach them. Same thing for the special fighters. Fighting, their foot placement, you never had to teach them that. I can imagine that a lot of things that Naoya Inoue does, he was doing since he was a kid. Normally. You didn't have to tell him, Naoya, put your foot there, do that. He was already doing it. He just understands things. Balance, perfect form, timing, they're all part of the game. And every man has a unique, way or approach to fighting the way they see it. You can get frustrated with your fighter. Why ain't you better? Why didn't you beat this guy? You got to work with what you were given. Maybe the night wasn't just yours, but it's a beautiful thing to see. And I got to admit, it is a beautiful thing to see when a man that was born to fight finds his way into the craft he was born to do. And he's around long enough for us to witness him pull it off. Salvador Sanchez was a great Mexican fighter that, if you ask me, died too early. Died very early. We never got to see his career unfold. The Charlo twins, I believe, are good fighters. One of them is talking about making his comeback, and I'm not sure how that's going along, but he's supposed to be on that card. I haven't hold my breath on that. I haven't even talked about it because he has to do a lot of coming back. So we'll see where he goes. But still, nevertheless, two fighters that I thought were going to be a lot further along in their career. Look what happened to them. We never got to see them, their entire career unfold. We really never got to see a lot of our great champions without hiccups. Floyd going to jail, 2 years out of his sport. Ali, 3 years in prison for army. You name it. So it's very rare when we get to see it. So when we get to see it, I appreciate it and acknowledge it. I wish that drugs and alcohol never affected Sweepy Pernell Whitaker. Boy, do I wish that. I wish I would have saw a prime Sweepy Pernell Whitaker his entire career. What could have been, bro? Wow, was that man good? Sugar Ray Leonard. If that booger candy didn't mess, some of these guys just, it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle, and then when you finally see it, like some fighters, they do it, bro. Marvelous Hagler was a straight shooter, bro. Marvelous Hagler was a warrior, bro. And we saw his career. Like, he didn't get his shot as a world champion fast enough, but we got to see who he was. And boy, was he dedicated. We've had a lot of hiccups with Terrence Crawford. Yeah, but We also got good fighters that got their head on their shoulder, and there's no better feeling than to being able to experience your fighter for long stints of his career and see him in his prime with a lot of these outside things fucking up our guy, man. I'm watching Naoya Inoue and Xander Zion, and I'm watching fighters like that right now. I got my fingers closed for Xander Zion. That money doesn't change him. Like the Cormel Moens and the Bruce Carringtons of the world and the Keyshawn Davises. I just hope they don't lose their mind and lose their way and forget what got them there. That we get to see their career, go through with no like massive hiccups. I'm actually watching Naoya Inoue do exactly that. For the one of the first times, bro, a dominant fighter like that's not arrogant, that's not out there smacking women, flipping cars, drunk, got nose candy here. Like you could obviously see he's tweaking, like none of that stuff. And I'm looking at this dude's career and I'm just watching him, and I gotta admit, I'm like, boy, look at him go. Now that's what a boxer's career looks like with no hiccups. That's what you can do. That's the kind of fighter you can become. Man, we got to teach our kids. We got to teach our boys. Brady showed you didn't have to be arrogant. You didn't have to be cocky. Oh, shucks. I want another one. Everybody hated Brady because he wouldn't talk shit. They would always say something to Brady, and everybody would come to his defense, but him. No, well, I believe I'm not the GOAT. There's room for everyone. I believe Joe's the GOAT and he's my hero. How humble was that man? How modest was he? Right? All he kept doing, he was focused on his job. He uh, left social media alone. No, you're not going to get me to say I'm the best. You're not going to get me in conversations. I'm going to beat these guys Sunday. None of that. Nope. They're a great team. They're a good challenge. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Bye. Yo, fucking go. The GOAT. Best to ever do it. Humble as shit, bro. Focus on his job. Focus on what was important. The W, the wins were important to that man. Our fighters need to focus on what's important. Those belts, the wins, get them shits back home. You know what I mean? And hopefully Keyshawn Davis can bring one back home for us. I think that Uncle Bob did secure him this fight for the WBO at 135. I think Keyshawn Davis is going to grow into his body after that too. If anybody's going to make a move first, my prediction is that Keyshawn Davis is going to move up in weight before Tank Davis does. Tank Davis is already 30, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Keyshawn's a young kid. I think he's still growing into his body. How much longer could Keyshawn pull that weight? So, Tank's gotta, I don't know what's up, Tank, man. Tank's my dude, man, but I got a new way of viewing him. So I'm on more of the line. Whatever you want to do, Tank, just do Tank shit. Whatever you want to do, I get it, my man. You're not about that shit. So I can't hold you to nothing you're not doing. You're just a prize fighter, my man. So I wait to see your next fight, and we gonna pay to see it because you're exciting as fuck, boy. So that's why. So when I view Tank like that now, it sets me free from expectations from him. Sets me free from that. Although I want him to do it, it's all right, man. I know who you are. I can see you, Tank. I see you. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I can respect it. And you know what I can respect about Tank? It's not like he went half his career and said, I changed my mind. No, he's been saying this his entire career. He even admitted, I never asked Floyd for any championship fight or anything. I never asked for anything. I just told him, get me the bag. That's it. So I can't look back at his career and say, no, Tank, you've been saying the whole time you wanted to fight for championship fight belts and that you were the man. You the whole time. No, when you go back and you look at Tank's career, the whole time he was telling you, I'm not interested in none of this shit. And I can look back his entire career. Fuck, Tank was saying this the whole time, bro. I just wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to what he was saying. I kept putting all my expectations, what I think he should do. He never wanted to do any of that. And then now I see him for who he is. And I'm like, all right, all right. At what point do you draw the line for Naoya Inoue at 122? Should go to the 126 for me. He cleaned out the division. That's his only problem is that he did it too good. My man kicked open the front door and right away took the top guys. He's going backwards. That's why these fights don't seem that great. Had he kicked in the door at 122 and fought Sam Goodman, Luis Pantera Nari, right? And then TJ Doheny, right? Say he would have fought TJ Doheny, Luis Pantera Nari, then Sam Goodman, then fought Marlon Tapales and would have saved Stephen Kubo Fulton for the last fight, that would have been built up. Because he would have been beaten two number one guys, a number two guys, and a unified world champion. Stephen Kubo Fulton would have still been revered at that time, the best 122 pounder in the world. And since Naoya Inoue would have went backwards, they would have said, of course he's ducking Stephen Kubo Fulton because that's a black American slick style he's never come in contact with. Naoya Inoue has never fought a black fighter. Up until that point, if hypothetically we're doing this all backwards. So that would have been the storyline going into the fight, and it would have been a massive fight. Instead, Naoya Inoue walks into the division and says, hey, who's the toughest guy in this division? Who's the biggest dude here? You? Outside. Let's go. I want you first. He didn't walk into the division and say, hey, I wanna fight a tune-up fight for no belts. I'll fight you, TJ Doheny. I'll fight you, Sam Goodman, Luis Pantera Nari first. Let me dip my pinky into the pond first. See how dangerous these waters are. Because there could be sharks in these waters. This motherfucker came into the water with some gargles and a spear gun. Where's the shark at? Right there? Let's dive right into shark-infested water. Off rip. He beat the two undisputed champions. So now that's where we're at in reality. He did it too good, too fast. Is what he did. And now these fights are not seeming to be. Now, there is a gauntlet of fighters at 126. All possibilities. The game changes, doesn't it? At 126, the game changes. You got to fight Espinoza, both his fists and both his elbows. He got a deadly elbow combination. He's been throwing that late, and you got to fight. It's like fighting four hands. That's going to be tough. Okay? Right? You got Angelo Leo riding on a high off that knockout. Oh, he believes he can knock out anybody now. Right? Nick Ball, a little brute fighter, little power puncher there. He swings a little too wide for me. Naoya Inoue is a sharpshooter. He got power. And let's stop saying this one thing. There's just one thing I'm going to stop saying. I wonder if Naoya Inoue's power is going to carry with him. I'm just going to stop saying that. I'm convinced he was born with that. I'm convinced. 5 weight divisions. Technically, he's only champion in 4. He jumped over 1. Stay with me. I'm not making a mistake. I'm just calling what's really there. He's really moved up 5 weight divisions. He's only got a championship in 4 of them. Okay? His power is still there. So I'm going to stop saying, will his power translate to 126? I think so. I'm good. I'm pretty on the line. Like, yeah, it's coming with him. Now, let's say you were to be able to say these guys are much bigger. They've been hit by heavier punchers, bigger punchers, right? Let's say that these guys at 126 can take his power. Let's just say that. All of them, right? You're still left with a superior boxer standing in front of you. No matter if you take away the fact that he can knock these guys out, I'm pretty sure he's still hitting respectfully hard. He might not be able to knock you out with one punch, but accumulation of punches and breaking you down throughout the course of rounds, yeah, he can knock you out. So if you take his power away, you can't take away the fact he's still a very highly skilled boxer, counter puncher, boxing technician, brawler. He has superior footwork, placement, timing, and speed. Still, that puzzle is still in front of you. People act like, oh, they'll be able to take his punch. That just solidifies that he's going to lose. You're forgetting to talk about everything else he brings to the table. You still got a fucking dangerous dude standing in front of you. So, who opposes a threat at 126? A lot of people say Nick Ball will be able to knock him out with that forward pressure because the Japanese style, that's the style that usually beats them. The style that Nick Ball has is a recipe to try to beat the Japanese fighter. Naoya Inoue is just not your typical Japanese fighter. He is the best Japanese fighter. He's doing and performing the Japanese fighting style at the highest level. So that's what you're dealing with. He represents Japan boxing and the style that they fight. That's what he does. And he's their best to do it. That's what you're putting up against these guys at 126. You're putting that up against bigger, skilled fighters. All those champions are not champions because they're bums. No. Espinoza, skilled fighter in his own right, controversial with the elbows now, but it seems to be effective, ain't it? Shit. Now they're going to be watching those elbows in the Naoya Inoue fight. You better believe it. Right? But skilled. I got to say that Angelo Leo got some skills. Nick Ball got some skills. Now, Vargas, Vegas there. I think Naoya Inoue will hurt him. I don't actually think out of all the champion, I think he's the weakest for Naoya Inoue's style. I don't like the way his style fares with that style that Naoya has. No. He could fight. Yeah, he could fight against great styles, not against that Japan style. Not the way he's pulling it off. He'll get hurt. He'll be the first to fall. At 126, the WBC champion, I believe, is the first one that would fall. The WBO champion would be one of the biggest puzzles and the WBA world champion would be, I think, one of the biggest risk. I think Nick Ball is probably the biggest risk at 126. I really think that Nick Ball, man, those fucking shots, bro. His ability to take shots, Nick Ball too. Uh, I've seen Naoya Inoue go up against that style before and be victorious. Marlon Tapales was similar to Nick Ball. In fact, there was a few guys that he's already fought that tried to pull that kind of style on him. He's really good. He's a great sharpshooter, Naoya Inoue. So that would be a really interesting fight. And I have to see myself how Naoya Inoue takes their punch. It's not always thinking about one way. How does Naoya Inoue, you know, how do they take Naoya Inoue's punch? That's one way to look at it. But there's a flip side to this coin. How does Naoya Inoue take Nick Ball's punch, bro? Does every time Nick Ball hit him, does he fucking stagger him? Is it visible that you're like, whoa, his punches are too heavy for this guy? Is it going to be one of those kind of fights that we find out Naoya Inoue might have hit his ceiling? He might have went a little too far. We pushed him, kept daring him to be great until he finally got to where the guys were just too big for him. That skills no longer paid the bills. Just brute strength and power were enough to defeat you. So is that where we're pushing him to? What that would be how I would have to see. Now I saw him take a full-fledged Luis Pantera Nari punch that you could see obviously was bruising his face as the fight was going on. And I'm going to tell you right now, I got to be honest with you. Any other man in the world takes that punch, he's knocked out. I guarantee it. The way he hit that man, had it been anybody else, I think he's knocked out. Naoya Inoue got an iron chin. He really does. Yo, his recovery from that shot was, you could go back and watch anywhere. He's hit guys with less Luis Pantera Nari. He's like half connected on dudes and fucking put their lights out. He didn't hit most of his guys as flush as he hit Naoya Inoue. He hit him on the button, bro. And he couldn't put him away. So I was like, oh shit, my man got a good chin. Naoya. So it's gonna take a special fighter, I believe, to really come up. But I would like to see who it is. I never thought that Luis Pantera Nari was gonna be the first man to put him down in a fight. He wasn't the first man to beat him, but he was the first man to put him down in a professional fight. So I was like, I never thought it was gonna be him. So it's interesting. Let me touch up on some of you guys' messages here. What's up, brother? How you doing? Yeah, yeah, and that's a milestone that you will never ever be able to take away from fighters like this, like Devin Haney. Youngest undisputed champion. That's gonna live on in the record books until somebody beats it. Being 23 years old and getting all four belts, although, he did beat one guy for three of them, he didn't have to do a lot of work. It doesn't matter. Are you telling me that you're not going to fight for the three belts because I need to win them individually to be considered the greatest? No. When opportunity comes a knocking, be ready. Devin Haney was ready. He answered the call. He came out victorious. Congratulations, young man. Congratulations. There are different milestones that a lot of these boxers have. But like I've always said, it's, look, Floyd Mayweather has never been unified all three belts or four belts, and he fought in both eras. Floyd fought in a 3-belt era, and Floyd fought in a 4-belt era. Mayweather, right? Now, he doesn't need 4 belts to beat Terrence Crawford. He doesn't need all 4 in 2 separate weight divisions. See, Terrence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, and Usyk, they're in that room by themselves over here, right? And Floyd can't walk into that room. He doesn't have the credentials to walk in the room. So Floyd might be pouting, I never got to do that, right? And Terrence Crawford's in the room like, yeah, Floyd, you're not in this room, baby, right? Then okay. Then Floyd goes walking off to his room where he sits there as the only champion in the world to defeat the most champions in boxing history. And Floyd's in that room with his feet up on the couch by himself, like this. And Terrence Crawford can't walk into that room. He's got to stay out on the outside. Look at Floyd. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Right? So yes, I'm in agreement. Some of these guys got different accolades, different achievements. But are they all American fighters? Who they doing that for? For our team. So when you go to the history books, you go in them Hall of Fames, I hope my country did it the best. When I watch for the Olympics, I watch for my guys. I cheer my, come on, baby. You could run, get that gold medal. Bring it home. Competition. I was born here. It's what I am. I'm not going to fight it. Not going to go against it. Let's go. You talk about my American boys. You say Terrence is better than Floyd. Floyd is better than Terrence. Let's just remember, they're on the same team. They represent the same team. So whichever one you want to put, just make sure to put at the end of that, USA. That's all I care about. Competition. Competition, baby. It is what it is. You know what I mean? There are a lot of awards, a lot of things that Naoya Inoue in Japan, bro, they're going to knock off a lot of our champions, bro, in history. Yeah, it's going to be ugly when that man retires. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I got to be honest. I'm a little nervous, but I don't shy away from who Naoya Inoue is. I give him the respect of the warrior that he is and the gladiator that he is. Am I glad that he's knocking off some of my American records? Hell no, man. But I respect competition. And if I can give it out, I got to be able to take it, bro. Naoya Inoue, when he retires, bro, his fucking record, man, it's going to shatter a lot of these guys' records, my guys' records. And to all the young fighters coming up, bro, y'all got to do something about that shit, bro. Y'all got to do something about that shit. Take notes from this Japanese dude, bro. Follow suit, man. Chase him down, bro. You can't just talk shit because you're the slickest talker, bro. And in order to beat him, you're going to have to do his records, man. That's just like that LeBron James Jordan argument. People, the scoring title. Hold up. Scoring title was never in the conversation. The conversation was 2 3-peats, 6 rings. Do that, we're talking. Anything else other than that, that's just your stats and things. It was never in the conversation. We're not putting up your scoring title against a ring. No, good for you. Kudos. But people have a way of trying to stir things up to try to get their guy in. Talk. Fucking Americans, bro. We're always trying to talk our way into everything. Lower the bar. Let me get my guy in the conversation on some bullshit. Nah. What's right is right, bro. Unless you're beating or doing what he did, we ain't got nothing to talk about. When he fucking retires, this Japanese dude, bro. He's gonna take a lot of people down with him, bro. He's gonna fucking shine. And there's gonna be a Japanese fighter in the record books. Has a strong case, man, of being the greatest fighter to ever live. And ain't gonna be none of my guys' name. He's gonna have the records and the accolades to back it up. And it's gonna be done, dealed, and sealed. We're gonna need somebody to come along and do exactly that. That's the only way. You can't add shit to something to try to prove that you're better than that person because you couldn't do what they did. You couldn't do or mirror them. So in order for you to get in the conversation, you had to add bullshit. Shit that was never there. Other accolades, other achievements. Great for you. Good. You got a freaking score. Awesome. Can you do a backflip? Can you spin around? Like, do you want it? What we would not, no. Do what the king did. 2 3-peats, 6 rings. I don't even give a fuck if you do 2 3-peats. Shit, you could go on a 4 winning streak, but you would be beating him. You would be beating him. Even if you went on a 4 and lost, and then got the last 2 at the end of your career, that's still 6. I can add. Really doesn't matter how you did it, but just get those first. That's it. That's the only thing in the argument. That's the only thing that should be viewed. That's it. When you're viewing their accolades in boxing, what are they judging you by? They're trying to judge Terrence Crawford by all the belts he won in mine, right? Right. They're going to say that he has 4 belts in this division, he has 4 belts in another division, and he has a couple belts one at 130, 135, was it? 135. He has a belt at 135, and he has a belt at 154. So that's 4 divisions. That's what they're going to count. That's what they're going to count because I know you don't want to go down that road. How many belts you have entirely? He's going to crush Terrence Crawford. You don't want to go down that road. Nah. He has too many title defenses in between. Floyd. He had too many fights for world title fights. He fought too many world champions. And he had belts during that time. It was very rare when Floyd Mayweather never had a belt. When he retired for those hands for the 2 years that he came back and fought the dude that knocked out Manny Pacquiao, right? Like Marquez, right? Look, I mean, that fight right there, that's right. I was just thinking about it. That wasn't for a belt. That fight when he came back, he didn't have a belt in that time. Mayweather ended up getting a belt. Who did he finally end up beating for a belt and he got a belt back? I remember. At the end of his career, Mayweather actually didn't have belts. Like when he fought Conor McGregor, he didn't have a belt. That was just like when he fought what's his name? Homeboy, he looked like a specimen. He was chiseled, he was ripped. What was his name again? Floyd picked him for his last fight. That wasn't for a belt neither. But all the other fights were for belts. So what my point is this. When you fight for a world title, they give you a brand new belt after you defend or win a belt, right? So if you were to add up all those fights that Mayweather got belts after title defenses, those belts start to add up. You ever see Mayweather's belt collection? He lays them all out like somewhere. He's got like 20 something fucking 27, 30 something titles. And you're not going to want to put that against Terrence Crawford's belts. He's not going to have that many. So there's just different accolades and stuff that you can argue for your guy, but that that fucking one particular record that Mayweather got, fighting the most champions out of any boxer, that's got to be a fucking high honor. It's gonna take a lot to beat some record like that, bro. Yeah, you could dominate one division, get all the belts. You could dominate two divisions, get all the belts. That was great. That's a good fucking achievement. Never know in the history of boxing has anybody done those kind of shit until this era of boxing. So you can't just overlook that. That's a fucking high. It still only counts for two divisions, depending how many champions you fought to earn that. Terrence Crawford, where it's going to go down in status, is that he fought Errol that had three of those belts. He didn't collectively fight three champions. He only fought one champion for three belts. Mayweather fought individual champions. It's a good thing. Like the achievement that Crawford got, the four belts, four belts. I mean, it's good. It's fucking awesome. But when you break it down and he did it better. Unfortunately. Yeah, man. He did. He just did. So, yeah. Yeah. But this dude, this guy, this guy right here, uh he's not gonna catch Mayweather when it comes to championship fights. He's not. Mayweather's gonna keep that one for a long time, right? He's not gonna catch Mayweather when it comes to that because according to right now, Naoya Inoue has only fought 15 world champions. Out of the 15 world champions he's fought, he knocked out 13 of them. So he knocked out 13 of the 15 he fought. So if we were to do the math, right? By the time he retired, he would have to fight at least 10 more world champions. He would have to get 10 either former champions or current champions. They don't have to have a belt, but when he fights them, they needed to already had a world championship in whatever weight division. That qualifies you because you are a former world champion coming into the fight. Just like TJ Doheny was when Naoya Inoue fought him. Of course, TJ Doheny wasn't the champion coming into that fight, but the minute Naoya Inoue beat him, he beat a champion. That's how that works. So he would need either 10 former world champions or current world champions to fight him at the age of 31. In order to put 10 fights together, I'm not sure if Naoya Inoue could keep this going 3 fights a year. 3 fights a year is 3 fights a year. You would need 3 more years. That would be 9 years. You would have to add the 3 years to it. But you would also have to find 10 world champions to consistently fight them in a row. In a fantasy world, where are you going to find that? And even if he was to repeat a guy, you don't get credit for that. The guy's name is the same, one name. You could beat the guy 4 times, still only beat one name. So he needs 10 individual world champions to fight him. He ain't going to catch Floyd. When it comes to Floyd's 50-0 record, that's a personal record. That's really meaningless in the sport of boxing. That's just for the fighters, acknowledgement. The fighters like, I retired 50-0. Yay. Impressive for you. There's no award for that. It's not like you go to awards. Hey, you retired 50-0. Here's no. They'll make up an award if you want for him, But that's not an official record. You understand? That doesn't go down in the record books. That's just personal. So the 50-0 is not something that, he's not going to catch him in that neither in that regards. So the way that Naoya Inoue could really like catch Floyd and make himself, right, would be like a milestone where it would be unifying in 3 separate weight divisions. It would be the type of record you couldn't ignore. You wouldn't be able to ignore that no more. 2, impressive. 1, great. We've seen it before. But 2 was awesome. The minute another guy did it, then Usyk did it, the value of that kind of went, right? And it was like, But 3 is uncharted water. Uncharted water. Now that you could put against the 26 champions, 25, whatever it was, 23, whatever it was, against Floyd. Now that I would be comfortable putting that against that record. You understand? It's kind of like the Super Bowl, right? When you view Super Bowls, who the fuck is to say what Super Bowl was the greatest Super Bowl ever played? And what Super Bowl trophy has the most weight? What Super Bowl trophy carries the most weight? What was the best Super Bowl game you've ever seen in history? And if you ask me, that fucking comeback between the Patriots and Atlanta, down 28-3, going into like there was 28-9 in the third quarter with like 8 minutes to go in the third quarter and 1 quarter left. You got a stupid lead. That comeback, that's got to be the greatest Super Bowl. So in regards to Super Bowl trophy, that Super Bowl trophy's got to be the strongest Super Bowl trophy. You understand what makes that Super Bowl valuable, that trophy valuable, and what sets that Vince Lombardi trophy from every other Vince Lombardi trophy? You understand? That's where you see the value in it. See, they're champions, yeah, and they might have same belt status or whatever. It's kind of like what you did that really solidifies some of these things. You understand? So, and then it goes to their skill. Were they a guy that was managed well? Did they fight top opposition? And the one thing you can say about Floyd, he fought the top guys. There's no doubt about that. He might have ducked people at the end of his career and didn't, but he was up there. And you can't even say that Floyd ducked like the top guys in his career when at 36 years old, he's fighting 23-year-old Saul Canelo Alvarez. How's that a duck? How's that avoiding the top fighters in your career when Saul went on to being one of the greatest fighters of his era? And Floyd fought him in his prime at 23 years old, and Floyd was 36 years old. So you better not say Floyd was avoiding people when he got older, because at 36, he fought young ass Saul Canelo Alvarez. So you can't say that. Floyd was he was impressive. He's impressive. He had a good era. He had a good era. When in his time, that's what's important, I guess, right? What you do in your time. We might talk about all these other guys and we like to fantasize and throw our legend against the other legend and say, hey, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm good enough with saying my guy in his time, he was the shit. He was the best. He was the best to do it. And that's good enough for me. I'm not going to debate eras and, put Sugar Ray Robinson in against and try to compare him against Floyd. Like, no. Give Sugar Ray his time, give Floyd his time, give all these guys their times and moments. Just like I'm in agreement with giving Usyk his time. I think that he's in a weak era of heavyweight boxing, but he was the best in his era. We cannot take that away from him. As far as putting Usyk on a pound for pound list, I told you and I shared my feelings on it. I'm not going to change. Usyk is the king of boxing. He has the most prestigious belt. He shouldn't be put on a list. Okay? We judge everybody else by skills and what they did. I believe the fighters should make the criteria first to be placed on a pound for pound list. Before we talk about you being put on the list, you first must meet criteria, meaning you must be a complete fighter. You must have footwork, ring IQ, skills. You don't have to look the same. We must identify that styles and different styles of fighting, these men are performing at a high level. Understand? So once you figured out their style, you realize they do have an offense, a defense. They do have certain jabs, movements to their style. Then you start to dissect them as a fighter. How good are you? How do you avoid left-handed fighters for a reason? Well, then, if you're not fighting left-handed fighters are your kryptonite. Well, then you wouldn't be a complete fighter now, would you? If you're avoiding something, then you can't fight that style. What puts these guys on these lists are the unique men and women that can fight all styles. Then we must determine what's the criteria for judging them. Are you literally taking the word pound for pound and viewing it that they have to move up through the weight divisions, or is pound for pound the term that we use in boxing to describe skill for skill? It actually means skill for skill don't sound as good as pound for pound. What it means is when we're arguing our fighter, we're saying, yeah, your guy might be the heavyweight champion of the world. But if my guy was the size of your guy, pound for pound, my guy could kick anybody's ass. Pound for pound, he holds his weight in gold. My guy is so good that if God had blessed him with some size, he'd beat all of you guys. Because pound for pound, you guys can't beat him. He's that good. He has skills, real skills. If Naoya Inoue was the size of Usyk, he'd trash Usyk. Usyk be laying over there on God. He'd trash Usyk. Usyk can't fight with a man like that. Hell no. Naoya Inoue thinks too much. Usyk has his, what does he have? Come on, man. You ain't beating Naoya Inoue like that, bro. Are you crazy? Naoya Inoue can go in his two bag. He got a fucking selection of punches. He's probably thinking in his head, it's just like, doop, hook, doop, counter hook, doop, doop. Just a huge selection of punches. He can move any way he wants with his footwork. He beat the shit out of Usyk, man. Usyk coming in with that. But this is what he does with his hand. He tried to, that's his baiting, his fainting to where am I gonna go? Am I gonna go down or up? I'm down. You think that's gonna outsmart Nick? Get the fuck out of here. He'd get killed. That's what pound for pound is, and what the fighters gotta meet the criteria. Once we start to establish criteria for that, you're gonna see that you're gonna have a hard time putting these guys on the list, and the list is gonna go back to the original list. The original list was 5 guys. We concentrate on the top 3 guys and the 2 that was threatening. The 2 guys that got the potential of beating the top 3. Somewhere like in the 80s, like in 81, 82, 83, the pound for pound list changed to 10 guys. And I was always on the line like, who gives a hell what the fuck the number 9 pound for pound fighter in the world is? The number 7, 9 pound for pound. He's just a good fighter. You're just showing me a decent fighter. I already know that guy can fight. So by putting him number 10 or 9 on your list, what was that supposed to do? I don't care about the number 8 pound for pound fighter in the world. Keep making your way up. Talk to me when you start breaking the top 5, the top 3, and the 2 that's threatening to take their reign. I always felt that that's who we should have concentrated on. Those are where the best fighters are. Fucking number 8 pound for pound. Talk about that's not publicity to try to help your fighter's name get pushed and for marketing. Talk about that. If you kept it 5, that pound for pound list would be very prestigious now, would it? In order to get on it, the only way on it, the bar would be set so high, it would be only a few men that could get on that list. It would be a really prestigious list now, wouldn't it? But having it 10 fighters, Stephen Kubo Fulton on the list, number 9 at one time. What? Are you crazy? Like, I didn't care about the number 9 guy, the number 8 guy, the number 10 pound for pound best fighter in the world. Dude, you're describing a good fighter. What the hell? Crypto Robin, what's up? Salute. Jesus Christ, what's up? Why do I think the African American community hates Naoya Inoue so much? Um, Competition, in a word. I don't think it's they're being racist or any kind of like, you're taught to say the word hate, right? Behind a sentence to describe that they're throwing salt on them. Those are all kind of phrases that we use to, that they're taking shots at Naoya Inoue. Those are just Americans being Americans, supporting their fighter. That's all. And when anyone is threatening their fighter's name, it didn't matter if he was Japanese. He could have been anything. They would have reacted the same exact way. That's not racism. That's just a fan being competitive, talking shit, putting down your guy while boosting up their guy. That's called being a fan. I think some people try to take that and try to turn it into real hate. Try to convince you if they keep yelling that at you long enough, you'll you'll embrace the role. You want to say I'm a racist? You want to say I'm a hater? Fuck your guy. They get you so riled up, so mad. Now you backed yourself into their corner. But as a fan, all you were saying was, fuck that. Support my guy. Down with your guy. A lot of people talk about Naoya Inoue. They know very little about him. But I believe if they stopped to watch him fight, he would win them over. Because truly, you would realize he's not this. He's not all talk. He's not going to win you over by a pair of glasses. Yo, what's up? Yeah, go chain, motherfucker. What? Gang, gang. He's not going to win you over like that. You ain't never heard him talk shit. The way he's going to win you over with his skills, the minute that the people, the same very people that had a lot to say about him, watch him actually fight, they're going to have to admit, they're going to be like, wait a minute. That's why I watch boxing for. That's why I'm actually a fan of this guy, because I want my guy to do what he's doing. And it's not hate as in the form of racism. So I just want to get that out there. I truly believe it's just competitive nature and a more violent expression If you can understand that, we're dealing with fans that are craving blood. You want them to be sentimental? Or would your feelings get hurt if they said something about your guy? We are talking about combat sports, right? Where aggression is awarded. A little fuck you is applaud. I can take some shit talking. I can take from their fans a little, you know, this and that about Naoya Inoue. It's all right. I was always on the line that Naoya Inoue was from the show me state. You're gonna have to show me. So I was never scared to put him up against any of those guys. You get nervous when you watch them go out, walk the walkthrough, and anticipation in the fight. But I'm confident enough to say, yeah, I'll put Naoya up against anybody. Yeah, if I was playing a video game, they were like, pick your bet. I'll grab Naoya Inoue. You're gonna have to say, "Why are you always grabbing Naoya Inoue?" Right? He's gonna rock. Come on, let's go. You see what I'm saying? I'm not scared to put him up against anybody. I believe in his training. I believe in his mindset. I believe in his preparation. I believe in Naoya Inoue as a fighter, as a warrior. I'm sold. I believe in him as a man. Everything. I believe in him. Yeah. He's not even American. He's not even he's just a warrior, bro. And I keep telling you guys, I'm critical on a lot of guys. Yeah, I'll talk a lot of guys. I'm critical because I expect a lot from them. I expect a lot from these guys. From my American guys anyway. Tank, I expect a lot from Tank. I did. I did. We talked about it already. Not gonna go there, but yeah, like, but I also believe that these kind of champions are good for the sport. The Terrence Crawfords, the Uziks, the Naoya Inoue, so that our young men and women, when they're coming up, they can see how high they raise the bar. If you're gonna want to mirror there's no way around it. You can't win one belt, defend it 15 times, and say I'm better than Terrence Crawford because I got 15 title defenses. You're not gonna put your one belt against his two divisions, all four belts, are you? In order to beat Terrence Crawford, what exactly are you going to have to do? You're going to have to mirror that. You can't get three belts and two divisions and miss out and go, up, I got three belts and three weight divisions. And you never became undisputed, but I was this close in three separate weight divisions. So I think that should be good enough to beat Terrence Crawford. How are you going to half-ass it? No. You're going to have to do that. So I think that men like Terrence Crawford is very, very good for the sport. It's going to raise the bar for some of these young men and women to, especially the guys, it's going to be like, look, man, if I ever want to be considered better than him, then I need to go after what he did. You know what I'm saying? So it's just tough. It's just tough. It's tough but opinions are like, if I wanted to be real biased and I wanted it to share my real bias insight of a champion, then Jose Rivera is the greatest champion that ever lived in all of boxing. That would be crazy to say, but it would be biased because he was my friend and he's still my friend. And I actually know him. We actually hung around together in the streets and we know each other very well. And he was a former world champion. And I could go hang out with him tomorrow if I wanted to, you know, and you see, that would be opinionated, right? So, but facts are facts, and when this Japanese dude retires, bro, he's gonna have a lot of fucking accolades. A lot of accolades, bro. And they're gonna go through his shit, man. They're gonna come across a lot of shit I already know. They're gonna come across that unifying all four belts and 122 in 6 months shit. And just in that weight division. They're gonna come across unifying all four belts in two separate weight divisions and within 1 calendar year. It only took them 1 year to get 8 belts. They're gonna fucking run into all of that shit. They're gonna run into him coming on his 24th consecutive world title fight. They're gonna run into all these records, bro, that he's doing. They're gonna take account all the champions he fought, how he fared against them. What did he do in his world title fights? How many champions did Mayweather knock out of all the champions he fought? They're gonna add all that shit up, bro. And I don't add that statistical fact into Naoya in a way. I do know it, but it's because he's an active fighter. His career is actually going on. It's not over with him. So by me bringing up, oh, he's only done this, it would give you the impression that that's where he ended up at. No, I'm letting you know the fucking meter is still on in the taxi. That shit is still running. The money's still going. You dig? His career's not over with. So I'm curious to see where he ends up. Where he ends up, what is he bringing to the argument? In order to be in the conversation for GOAT, to be called the GOAT in boxing, you must meet all criterias. First you got to make the conversation. There's certain guidelines you got to make first. Then we break down what you did. Then we enter all the other legends that were considered the GOATs. Then we put you up against them. Then we determine who is the GOAT. That's how it is in boxing. Anyway, football, basketball, baseball, I think that they could call their GOAT a new GOAT every week. They have a tendency of doing that in the NBA. Football, they do the same thing. Baseball, they do the same thing. There's really no honor in their GOATs. They water down all their GOATs in their sports. There's like 10 different GOATs in basketball. LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Julius. There's like 10 GOATs already. Yeah. At the same exact time. In boxing, there's only the GOATs that earned it. There's GOATs in different weight divisions in boxing. Yes, absolutely. But they pretty much earned it, retired, their resumes got reviewed, and they were awarded GOAT status. They didn't name themselves the GOAT. Yeah, they didn't have to. We gave it to them, and then got fighters like Mayweather. I'm the GOAT, and he went crazy. He earned it. He earned it. He definitely earned it. Ali earned his position and so forth. But our GOATs are warriors. We're different. We don't gotta shoot a ball into a swish or pass a no. We gotta get punched in the face. We gotta knock out other men to be called GOAT in our sport. That's how you become a GOAT in boxing. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Um, expose how Cage. I might have been running on with the show, and you might be saying something I said way back then. So, if you want me to answer that, maybe just explain where, in that sense, did I say something was exposed, then I'll answer it. Because I know there's a delay between us. What's up, Bam Bam Boogie in the building? How you doing, brother? I know there's a delay. So I recently had a mistake with that, where that someone answered something I said and misunderstood it. So I'm asking you, if you wanted me to answer that, just let me know, because I don't know where that came from right there, because we could be off in the conversation. I should talk to the chat more often. I should. I should get glasses. That's what I should get. That way I could read these damn things. I'm in denial. Okay? I am in total denial. All right? Getting old sucks. It really does. It really does. The other day I was out driving at night and I couldn't even see the lines anymore in the highway in the fucking I didn't want to tell my girl. She's like, "Why are you swerving?" And I didn't want to say nothing. I knew she was gonna freak out and pull over, let me drive. Right? But I gotta be honest with myself. My eyes are getting badder, worse. I've been talking about it for a long time, trying to check my fucking vision, and it just drives me crazy when I gotta guess the word, right? And I'm not guessing the right thing, because to tell you guys the truth, I really see blurs. But my experience of reading them, throughout the years or whatever, I can kind of guess what you guys are thinking. But to tell you the truth, to be honest, I can barely see these fucking texts. To tell you the truth, and that's why I think I don't engage as much, I think, but I gotta stop that. And or I just gotta push this screen closer to me and maybe push this mic further. I wouldn't be so further away or whatever. I got it over here blown up, but yeah, my eyes are bad, bro. They're just bad, man. And I gotta stop joking around about this shit, bro. And I really need to do something about it. Yeah, because this is not getting funny anymore. It's really not. Now I'm back, and I can tell you that some of them are being racist. Oh yeah, some yes, of course, of course, of course they are. Some of them, come on, yeah. But in light to my fans that do lash out to Naoya in a way, right? It kind of comes back to what I was saying, right? First, you start off like just f you this fair competition, then they call you a hater. They call you a hater enough, you accept the role. Then you're just like straight up, F you, blah, blah. And now it's coming out real hateful and borderline racist or racist. Now they accepted or adopted it. Some fans can turn into that fan, is what I was expressing. I think that they start off like this, just being competitive nature, never wanting to say that their guy wasn't the best. They're always going to be that kind of fan, 100% loyal, support, F everybody else. If anybody ever gets brought into the equation, they're going to block bullshit. They're prepared to. Enough times being called hated, they accept the role. And without a doubt, I wouldn't argue that point with you that some fans could, in fact, be racist fans. Yes, that happens all the time. Uh, but am I here really to worry about racism, or am I here to discover who the best fighter is? You can have your opinion, you can view it the way you want. That's for you. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to save the world, right? I'm just here to talk about great fighters. I like blood. I like watching people get punched in the face very much. I used to like punching people in the face very much. I like to watch a man start off in a fight confidence, and I like to see the fight beaten right out of him. I like to see fear cover his eyes. I love to see the worry. I love to see that very moment when he cracks and screams out for help. Help! I love that shit. That's what I like. I like to see that dude come around and think he just gonna come up and just pick on somebody or put his hands on somebody or even a scheduled fight. That one underdog bring the fear right out of the champion and watch the champion's expression change. You ain't in Kansas no more, Dorothy. I love that shit. I live for that shit. That's why I watch fighting. There's no better feeling than watching two men just start busting out fighting and the crowd makes a circle. Back up, let him go. Let's see what he does. Back the fuck up. Let me see this. I gotta admit, I like to be in a few myself. I try to avoid it nowadays. You know, I tell myself it's a young man's sport now, right? But I can't seem to turn it off. I can't. I just like fighting in competitive sport, man. Um, and what does the best fighter in the world look like? The fuck does he look like? I want to see. I want to know. I consider myself a pretty decent fighter for my time, and it's just a question a lot of us have. See, a lot of us, a lot of us fighters, we did fight amateur careers and stuff, and when we were good fighters, but the streets, we took a different path in life. I didn't pursue boxing. The streets got my attention. I did my fighting a lot, places I shouldn't even been fighting. I wish someone loved me enough to pay attention to me. The wrong people paid attention to me and they showed me the way I was fucking asking for it because I can't say that I wasn't looking for it. I wanted those 20-inch rims too, gold chains and shit. It's what America had in my head as a kid. My 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 heroes, the people I looked up were gangsters in my neighborhood. The dudes that had all the girls and the cars. That's the truth. I'm just speaking from the heart right now. I ain't making anything up or want to look like a tough guy. That's just a sad reality. I'm telling you, as a boy, my heroes and my idols were gangsters. How sad was that? I didn't have no teachers or no one to look up to. I mean, they were probably there. I couldn't see them because the gangster was just shining so bright in my neighborhood. Took I took the wrong path, but that never ever it distinguished the fighter that and the warrior that is inside. Like let some shit pop off and shit. I was ready. I was ready. Sometimes I wasn't ready. Sometimes fights did catch me off guard. I gotta admit, I wasn't the best gangster in the world all the time. No, I can't say that. I wasn't super thug, right? But when it came to friends and family, I was already always ready. Oh man, I was always ready for that, you know. But that question lingered inside of my soul, you know. What is the best fighting style in the world? You know, what does the greatest fighters look like? And then in the sport of competition, all I've ever wanted to do was hold one of these fucking belts, bro. It's all I ever wanted to do in my life. That was everything. It was the kind of status that you revered as a man. Like, fuck, bro. I could actually say, like, I'm one of the greatest fighters in the world, you know? And although I know those guys are out there in the street that never competed, some dangerous motherfuckers, real Navy SEAL type motherfuckers. They're not boxers, they're killers. They're different. You know what I mean? I know those kind of guys out there. But, everything doesn't have to be fucking kill or death or blood. Like, can we compete? Can we fight? Let's put some safety stuff on, some gloves and fight to see another day. So if we were competing and we weren't going so far extreme right, where we were talking about ninjas and machine guns and swords, and we were just talking about Just pure fighting at its purest form. Safe, controlled, rule sanctioned, and you're not going to get in trouble for doing it. Well, then that's the closest I got to putting my hands on somebody legitimately. You mean to tell me I could go in the ring and punch you in your face? Sign me up. Sign me up. So that's why I do it. I don't know why you watch boxing. I don't know why, if you're there a crazed fan trying to place a bet. I don't know if you watch boxing simply for one or two guys. I don't know. But I explained to you why I watch it and why I report it. You want to judge me for that? Go ahead. You feel me? You like, yo, I hear what you say. All right. You know what I'm saying? But ask yourself, why are you doing this? Are you just one particular fan or this? And that's where a lot of these things get where that, yeah, he'll get hate. A lot of fighters get hate. See it. Mayweather got booed in Las Vegas. And he's from Las Vegas. You win too much, the fans will turn on you. Yeah, they will. Because everybody wants to see someone else new. You know what I mean? But just know that that's just part of the game. Doesn't matter if he was Japanese, American, European, Ecuador. It doesn't matter. You win enough, you just gonna get some people that want to see you dethroned. Don't people hate on Terrence Crawford? Don't people hate on Tank Davis? As a matter of fact, just name me one fighter that doesn't get hated on, or borderline racist comments, or racist comments geared towards them. Just one fighter. Who's that perfect fighter that everybody loves? All nations, all nationalities love this guy. There isn't, is there? So, in that regards, yeah, I expect it. I expect it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I still think Naoya Inoue did rightfully so and deservingly belongs at the number one spot on the pound for pound list. He's more active. When you enter the ring, you're putting up your belts and the opportunity of being defeated. The way you're doing it is at a much higher risk, and you're doing it more frequently. If you guys are tied in achievements, the only other way to determine which one is better is the more active of the two fighters. And who has more fights? Naoya Inoue has more fights. He's putting more on the line. But every time he enters the ring, he's putting up 4 belts. Every time he fights, there's more at risk. He's fighting more times. He should be the number one. And by that standard, he's doing what boxing is actually asking from the fighter: to be more active, to be dominant, and to be a champion. He's done all of that, but yet this guy can fight once or twice, pick the guys he wants to fight, and then what? We're just because he fights one time, we gotta go crazy over it? You gotta ask yourself one question. Are you easily impressed? Are you under the era where your man could do just a dance move, or a basketball player could do a layup, and you and your boys are, oh, those easily impressed guys? They're easily impressed by anything. You could flip a bottle and land it like, oh, you see the room. Oh, wow, you guys are easily impressed, huh? A guy once told me, when you talk, you're intimidating. I said, am I intimidated, or are you easily intimidated? I don't know. You figured that out. That's your top five. Usyk, Naoya, Crawford. Um, Usyk, Inoue, Saul, Crawford, Bam. My top five. My top five would be Naoya Inoue, Terrence Crawford, Demetrius Bivol, Bam Bam Rodriguez. If we were judging off skill, we're judging off skills, not belts, weight divisions, none of that. Just skill fighters. That's how I'm judging them. That's how my criteria. I gotta put Shakur Stevenson on this list somewhere. I know he's having lackluster fights, but his skill is crazy. The art of boxing is determined. The first rule of boxing is to hit without being hit. That is the first rule of boxing. You are here to assist me on whooping your ass. Those are the first rules of engagement. I'm gonna punch you in the face, and I'm gonna evade your punches. So those are that's the law of boxing. The number one rule. Then everything else goes off of there, right? So if we were thinking by the concept of the variation of what boxing consists of, I gotta admit, Shakur Stevenson's doing it fucking great, right? His what hurts him is his level of competition for Shakur. That's what hurts him in the argument. Could he do that at that level, at high in the game? That's why I can't just put him in there. So I would have Inoue, Terrence Crawford, Demetrius Bivol. I would also have Bam Bam Rodriguez in there, right? Then I would. There's some guys at a real low weight division. You guys might not know their name, but they're definitely qualified for being on a pound for pound conversation. It's just you guys just might not know their names, right? Um, without putting Usyk on the list now. Now you guys know that I'm doing this without. I do not put Usyk on my list. He's already king. He's up here, so that's why I would have those three right there so far, with those four with Bam Bam. Um, and then I would probably have to go. The next skill guy would either be like, that's tough. There's a lot of skill guys in between. Um, I'm not gonna play the popularity contest where I'm gonna put Saul Canelo Alvarez on it. Saul, once upon a time, well, Saul is technically still like one of the greatest fucking fighters, though. If we were going off skill, not belts, not ducking, he's still like Saul is a master at what he does. Yeah, he is. So I actually would have to put Saul back on there. Yeah, I know he's avoiding David the Monster Benavidez, but based on Saul's skill, what he does in moments in fights, managing the fight, the way he knows how to initiate the attack, knock down Jaime Munguia, coasting in the fight, dare Jaime to come in, outpunch them, outclass them. He beat Edgar Berlanga every round and dropped them. He outsmarted and beat Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant seemed to want to come in there with more of a boxer. Canelo met him at the front door and beat him at his own game. So Canelo is sometimes I got to remind myself, just like Teo's situation, that a lot of bullshit with these guys' career is what actually takes them out of the equation or turns me off from wanting to give them the notoriety of them being a good fighter. Okay? Because in fact, Saul is actually a master at what he does. So I would have to put him 5. Then I would put Saul 5. And that's where my list would be. You have your own list, have at it. Well, how do you see your list? You know? Oops, I don't know that rule. What rule? Oh, no, no, no. Just the rule that I don't put Usyk on the you don't have to go by my rule. You can respectfully put Usyk on your list. The problem with reason why I don't know if you've ever heard me explain why I don't. He's the king. He doesn't belong on the list. But one of the biggest reasons is because when you view the heavyweight champion of the world, right? You typically won't put them on the pound for pound list because although they have a lot of power, they're not really skilled fighters. The fact that Usyk came up from cruiserweight and he moved up in 2 weight divisions, which meaning pound for pound, Usyk being a cruiserweight, he would beat your heavyweight. They said, nah, he can't do it. He can't do it. By him actually going up there and proving it, that's that's his skill. That's his skill. So, but here's the problem. You would only judge Usyk when you view his pound for pound argument from cruiser to heavyweight. When you judge Terrence Crawford, you judge him from cruiserweight to 108. Every weight, all 15 weight divisions, right? So when you judge Naoya Inoue, you're comparing him to every other fighter in every weight division. But when you judge the heavyweight champion of the world, you're only judging them based on heavyweight fighters. That's it. You're not saying that any heavyweight champion, Usyk including himself, got more skills than Terrence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, Junto Nakatani, Bam Bam Rodriguez, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Shit, Devin Haney. Usyk doesn't have more skills than those guys. He doesn't even look good in his approach of boxing. It's a real simple, basic fighting. They're too big. What do you expect? For him to look like Naoya Inoue? If there was a man on the world that could do that, but that's what I'm talking about too. There have been some great heavyweights that can move really fucking good. We just haven't seen any of those guys of late. That's why the heavyweight division is what it is. Soft as hell. There's nobody there. Same 3 guys fighting each other. It's just nobody there. You don't really have anybody to compare them to. What? Anthony Joshua? That got destroyed? Like Tyson Fury? After coming off of a cocaine-induced coma? Came back to fighting? His competition is not, and Usyk is nowhere near an exceptional fighter. What in the fucking God's name does Usyk does that impresses anybody as a fight fan? What does he do that you're like, oh shit, man, look at his movement. It's so skilled. It's so sharp. He didn't see that punch coming. No, he's a cruiserweight that's faster than these big heavyweights. He's moving his arm around and he's just walking into the target. 1-2 on his way in. He gets in and throws overhand shots. Not like Bam Rodriguez. When Bam Rodriguez sat homeboy down, right? Bam Rodriguez hit, bam, bam, side step, hit one body shot, blocked one, positioned himself in a different position, got a better angle, and hit him to the body and sat him down. He saw where the first shot landed, corrected his foot placement. That's skills. Those are skillful moves. That's skills being played out. When he hit him, he tucked, rolled, counter, slipped under, hit him with the uppercut, stepped back, ducked underneath his shot. Real skills unfolding. Usyk's not doing any of that shit. He's just 1-2 in, ka ka kang kang, bam, 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 bam. But he's the best heavyweight though. And for that, we can't take that away from him. You know, he's not as skilled as these guys. No, he is the top alpha, Usyk. Yes, 100%. Top dog. King, baby. Ding. King. There is no argument for me. He has the most prestigious belt in all of fighting. And when he walks into the room, all the other champions should salute him. He's at the top of the food chain. He is king. And that for that I am certain. So fight fans, listen guys, you guys have been amazing. My name is Edwin. Always love tuning in, talking boxing with you guys. Let me use it. What? Joshua Parker, Dubois. Yeah, it was. I mean, Dubois really changed his name around, but before Dubois became Dubois, were you really that excited for him beating him? And once he beat Joshua once, the second fight was basically the same fight over, just a little bit more action. That's it. You know? Yeah, well, that's good for Devin Haney. He says a lot of things. A lot of people are saying a lot of things about him too, ain't they? So yeah, Devin Haney needs to get his shit together too as well, right? Nobody could beat Usyk. I don't think right now in this era nobody's gonna beat Usyk. If that's who you were talking about, maybe I might have said something else, but um I don't think anybody's beating Usyk right now in the heavyweight. He has a chance to put a pretty good era behind himself, and I suggest he does. You know, it's not my fault we don't got 20,000 killers in the heavyweight division. My only job is to conquer and to be the best. And if you ask me, that's exactly what Usyk is doing. Well, then that's what the fuck he's doing. So, as long as he keeps going out there and winning, the one thing, the nail in the coffin, he goes out there and fights Daniel Dubois and wins that IBF belt back. They're gonna have a lot of fucking trouble explaining that one that he's not the best heavyweight. I know what their argument's gonna be that the competition wasn't the best, but still, at the end of the day, guys, he's only doing what he has to. He's only accountable for the fighters in his weight division, aren't you? And who the fuck is there? If it was so easy, why isn't any of these other guys doing it? Why couldn't Fury do it? You know why? Because he ran into me, Usyk. Because I'm saying I'm the best. That's what happened. So you got to give him his credit and his respect for his era, Usyk. He's the fucking king, bro. He's the king, and that's the end of it until someone beats him, baby. Until someone beats him. So, fight fans, listen, love chopping it up with you guys, talking boxing. It's always been my pleasure. My name is Edwin, and thank you for coming in and talking boxing with me. uh, Rusty, Rusty Cage. That's what that says. I should have put it up on this one so I could see it instead over here. Sometimes in the moment, I don't think about that. I'm like, duh, do what you always been doing. Throw his message up. Now you could actually see his name, right? Over here, I couldn't see what your name was, right? Right? So thank you guys. Devin said he respects now in his boxing skills. Yes, yes, that's what you said. Shit, I should just throw them up. I can at least see them up here a little bit better, and I can read them at least. Jesus, Jesus Christ. Speaking of Jesus Christ, it's his friend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you claim the the title to that and the name to it and shit. You see what you're saying? He said he's just not familiar with most of his opponents, but most of his, um, that can go for any fighter, right? It depends on the fighter. So yeah, like a lot of fighters are you got to remember you're fighting a lot of egos in the sport. And a lot of ego won't look into another fighter or want to know what he's doing. They don't care about anybody else but themselves as a boxer. So when you get a lot of egos in boxing, you may think that a boxer should be a boxing historian. He should be able to spit out names and know everybody in the division because he's a professional boxer. In fact, you couldn't be any bit more wronger, right? A boxer typically they're so hyper focused, they only know the name that crosses their table, how they build up a game plan to defeat that person, and on to the next name. They really don't know you got to tell them they're so into themselves. So that's why a lot of fighters, you know, will be like that. You would think, oh no, ain't you a professional boxer? Shouldn't you know everybody? It doesn't work that way. You're dealing with men and women that already think they're the best fighter in the world. There's no need to look up anybody else. I'm right here. See what I'm saying? So fight fans, love you guys, love yourselves. Enjoy your holidays coming up, and I'll be around tomorrow and we can talk boxing. So I'm on to the next one after this one. And don't forget to give the videos a like, subscribe to the channel, share the videos, and have a great day. Love you guys, love yourselves. From me to you guys here at Round One Sports Talk. Peace. You guys have been amazing.